This is Sparta!
Hey there YouTube, I'm sorry this review is so late, but as I've mentioned I did have a couple of technical difficulties along the way. But I'm here now to talk to you about the most beautiful game I know. And by beautiful I mean gory as fuck and beautiful because of it. If Santa Monica wanted to make the most violent and bloodthirsty game out there, they sure as hell did their damned well best and gave us one of the most passionate and wonderfully crafted tales of vengeance and wrath I have ever played. Not only does God of War challenge your melee gaming skills, but it also challenges your mind with devious puzzles at the same time. But fuck, that's not what people remember God of War for. We remember it for impaling minotaurs, decapitating goblins, and gouging the eyes out of a cyclops head. There's enough blood in this game for us all to enjoy, so let's not waste any time. This is God of War. Well, it appears that the writers of Santa Monica took a leaf from Moffat's book. They're just showing us the end right at the start of the game just to confuse the fuck out of us.
Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
Well, that's God of War. Hope you enjoyed, guys. See you next time. Nah, I'm just messing with you folks. The story skips back a little to our hero Kratos in the middle of a battle, stuck in a storm on the Aegean Sea. Kratos jumped from wrecked ship to wrecked ship to try and defeat the monster he's been sent to destroy, the Hydra. In the bowels of a capsized ship, Kratos comes across one of the Hydra's many heads. After a short battle, we come to one of my big problems with God of War, the QuickTime event. Okay guys, if you haven't figured it out yet, I mostly review whatever you guys suggest to me based on their plot. So in a game like this, if I pull you out of the plot to comment on the gameplay aspect, you know there is a big problem with it. The QuickTime events in boss battles are a staple in God of War. Every boss fight ends with one of these. It's demeaning, isn't it? Having used all your skill to whittle your enemy down to that last scrap of health, and it comes down to how quickly you can mash the circle button. And if you fuck up even once, game over! Have fun fighting a boss from scratch for the 50th fucking time! I have literally lost count of the number of times that I have screamed at my PS3 because of this bullshit! Anyway, Kratos comes across a locked door within which the women and children were smuggled to escape the massacre.
You have to get us out! Find the key! Find the key! They're coming!
Except they kinda didn't because they're screaming a lot. Upon realizing the captain has the key, Kratos rushes to find him, only to run into Poseidon, god of the sea. Now, in God of War, you'll often meet Greek deities of some sort or another who will give you power-ups and whatnot to make the journey easier. Why Poseidon is opening up the power of the sea to Kratos while he's just fighting a Hydra is anyone's guess. So, yeah, Kratos is given some of Poseidon's powers before he finds the captain, just as he's about to be eaten. Get used to death in these games, people. There's a lot of it. Most of the time, Kratos is the cause. Anyway, Kratos impales each of the Hydra heads, with one final one being dragged onto the mast by his throat. Kratos then climbs into the Hydra's mouth to find the captain, who has somehow held on to the back of the Hydra's throat. Because, guys, you know, that's fucking possible. With the key in hand, Kratos returns to the locked cabin. Too fucking late, bucko.
Slaughtered like animals, the victims lay before him, a reminder of his own past, a past he could never escape. His only solace was the sea, endlessly sailing from one harbor to the next in service to the gods of Olympus. All his hopes rested with them. For no matter how much wine he consumed or how many women he took to his bed, nothing on earth could rid him of the horrors that plagued his mind.
Athena! 10 years, Athena. I have faithfully served the gods for 10 years. When will you relieve me of these nightmares?
We request one final task of you, Kratos. Your greatest challenge awaits in Athens, where even now my brother Ares lays siege as we speak. Athens is on the verge of destruction. It is the will of Ares my great city fall. Zeus has forbidden the gods from waging war on each other.
Wait, hold on. Hold up there. I am calling bullshit on that, Athena. Bullshit alert. So, Zeus has forbade the gods of Olympus from waging war on one another. Okay, given they are godly beings, I can understand how that would be a sensible idea. Otherwise, the entire world would be fucked. But how is it that Ares can attack Athens? Does a god attacking another god's namesake city not count as war? My mind is blown by the stupidity. Fine, whatever. Kratos sails to Athens and after a while comes across the Oracle, who tells him to come to her temple so that she may tell him how to defeat Ares. Why the fuck she doesn't tell him now is beyond me.
I have magical powers. You do realize you're paying for this call, right?
On the way to the Oracle's temple, Kratos receives powers from Aphrodite and Zeus. Well, I say powers. Aphrodite basically gives Kratos the middle finger and says, "Hey, you wanna turn enemies into stone? Well, fuck you, I ain't giving that shit away for free. You gotta kill that Medusa bitch and take her head off and shit. What do I look like, a fucking charity? Get your bum ass out of here." Aphrodite, everybody. She's such a slut, she won't help you unless you have sex with her first. So Kratos arrives at the Oracle's temple, but just outside comes across an old man digging a grave. Whose grave is it?
Who will occupy it, old man?
You will, my son. Oh, I've got a lot of digging to do indeed.
Well, ain't that a kick in the head? You know, guys, this game is just the master of fucking subtlety. The game says that the god of war is attacking Athens. How about we make him a fucking giant and have him rain fire down on the entire city? The game says Kratos is going to die. Let's have a creepy old dude dig his grave. I also may have forgotten to mention that Kratos keeps having flashbacks to his life in Sparta.
Sparta!
Shut up, I did that already. Apparently Kratos was a badass in the Spartan army and kicked some serious ass. However, when the more advanced military power of Sparta goes up against rogue barbarians, they just topple over like a bunch of pussies. Going up against the barbarian leader, Kratos is apparently beaten by a fucking hammer. You know, it's games like this that create the equation game logic equals no logic. Anyway, Kratos then pleads with Ares for the god of war to destroy his enemies in exchange for Kratos' very own soul. Ares accepts, kills Kratos' enemies, and then makes him his bounty hunter. Kinda like Johnny Blaze in Ghost Rider, except Ares isn't played by Peter Fonda and Kratos isn't played by Nicolas Cage. You know what? That'd actually make for an interesting spoof, wouldn't you think? Someone get on that right away, I want that. Ares then tricks Kratos into slaughtering his wife and child in cold blood. You know, this sort of action would usually constitute a "what a charming man," but Ares is the god of war, it's kind of expected he'd be a dick. back to the present, Kratos saves the Oracle and she tells him of Pandora's box, filled with the great powers that, if bestowed upon Kratos, could kill a god. So Kratos heads out for the most hated section of this game ever. So yeah, I may have said earlier that the God of War quick times suck ass. Well, I would rather have a complete game of God of War quick times than have to put up with this next section of God of War ever again. Because compared to this, a game of God of War quick times is fucking paradise. I normally review games based on their stories, but this part of God of War demands my fury. And if I take my time out of a review to draw your attention to it, you know it's gotta be warranted fury. In this part of God of War, you have to navigate the Desert of Lost Souls and kill the 3 desert sirens, because that's a thing, before you can advance into the next section of the game. However, this is much easier said than done. In God of War, you have no such thing as a minimap, which for most sections of the game is fine. It's a linear path. There is only one way to go most of the time, and if there are multiple ways, most likely you need to go down all of them in order to advance. Some sections double back on themselves, which is necessary to advance the plot, but in the Desert of Lost Souls, you are that lost fucking soul. It's practically an open world all of its own, which would be great if there was shit to do in it. This place is fucking emptier than a library during the summer holidays and at least 3,000 times harder to navigate. You're blinded half the time by the sandstorm that fucks with your vision, which means you can't see for shit. You are literally guided by your sense of fucking hearing. No, seriously, the sirens sing in the desert and you have to find them from their song. Maybe if this game had surround sound, this would be easier, but if you hear something and move in the wrong direction, it's gonna take you another hour to get back to where you heard it from. I swear sometimes I can't complete this part of the game without turning down the music and turning up the effects, which also increases the volume of the winds blowing sand into your fucking face, making this point redundant. And the last nail in the coffin that makes this section of the game the absolute worst: your targets fucking move around. I'm not even kidding. They move from place to place. The only siren you can be absolutely certain of in its location is at the doorway to the next area. The only landmark you have in this shitstorm. In summary then, the Desert of Lost Souls in God of War is enough to take any sane human being and turn them into the fucking Joker. Okay, I'm good. Kratos passes through the... can't even say it or I'm gonna rip my room apart. He blows on a horn and summons Kronos, King of the Titans. The Temple of Pandora chained to his back, Pandora's box locked within. Kratos climbs the mountain on Kronos' back and breaks into the temple itself. As Kratos climbs through Pandora's temple, he comes across Artemis and Hades, both of whom give him new powers. So yeah, even Hades, Lord of the Underworld, is a more decent deity than scumbag Aphrodite. Kratos, however, eventually reaches Pandora's box and brings it out into the sunlight. Ares, somehow realizing Kratos has the box, throws a stalagmite at him from fucking miles away. I call dibs being on Ares' team for the zombie apocalypse. So Kratos is now dead and falls into the underworld, where we find, guess who? That captain we let die earlier. Jesus, this guy's more resistant to death than Rory fucking Williams.
You think you'll just come back to life?
When don't I?
Kratos then comes across a rope dangling into the underworld from above. And guess where the rope leads?
Ah, Kratos. And not a moment too soon.
Right next to creepy grandpa, of course. Okay, I guess that the old guy did say the grave belonged to Kratos, but really? Is that all you need to break someone out of the underworld? In effect, bring them back to life, by the way. You need a shovel, a rope, and the vaguest hope you're going to dig straight down into hell. Resurrection is piss easy, apparently. Kratos then pursues Ares, who has all but conquered Athens, Pandora's box in hand, which, by the way, he plans to use on Olympus. Remember that. Kratos takes the box back and grows to enormous size to match Ares. However, the God of War takes Kratos back to the night he killed his family and takes Kratos' signature weapon, the Blades of Chaos, and uses them to butcher his family once more before his very eyes. After seeing his family die once more, Kratos is unarmed and all but broken, ready to die at the hands of Ares. However, in a freaking unbelievable piece of gaming logic, are you ready for this, guys? This is incredible. Santa Monica is setting the bar with suspension of disbelief. Kratos spies a nearby bridge which is made in the shape of a sword and picks it up as his new weapon. What are the fucking odds? So yeah, with the bridge sword, Kratos wins, kills Ares, and somehow Greece isn't all blown to shit by the nuke that follows.
Kratos had done the impossible. A mortal defeating a god. Ares was no more.
So that should be it, right? Wrong! Apparently Aphrodite isn't the only scumbag god.
The gods are indebted to you. We promised your sins would be forgiven, and so they are. But we never promised to take away your nightmares. No man, no god could ever forget the terrible deeds you have done.
Wow, you are such a bitch! So we pick up from where the beginning left off, with Kratos jumping from the mountain to escape his madness. But Athena pulls him back up and tells him he is now the new God of War, thus ending the game. And do you know what I find most surprising about the end to God of War, guys? It's just that. It's the end. It is a complete finish. Kratos has beaten Ares. He is the God of War. He wins! So, if the game ended on a complete note, why do we have God of War 2, 3, Ghosts of Sparta, Chains of Olympus, and God of War Ascension? Okay, the last two were probably understandable, they're prequels, but God of War 2 and beyond, why do we have those? Here's my theory. I'll tell you what it means. It means God of War was fucking awesome enough to warrant a sequel, most likely by popular demand. I can't prove this, but given the way this game ended, it wouldn't surprise me. And you know what? This game deserves its sequel. I mean, the graphics aren't quite stellar, but this was originally a PS2 release. We can forgive it for that. So, aside from the obvious black mark section of the game, this was pretty damn decent. It's nice to see games out there that aren't just first-person shooters, and I wish more games like this were made. Yeah, of course, it could just be that Santa Monica are money-grabbing whores. But let's just go with the first one, because that keeps my hope in humanity alive. So anyway, what do I make of God of War as a whole? Aside from some black mark areas, I think God of War receives a dark rating of 79.
I was trying to make you a great warrior. You succeeded.
But, as I've said before, I'm sorry this review came out late. Technical difficulties and all that. But I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Leave a comment below as to what you might want to see next time. Drop a link to me on Twitter. Message me on Google+, whatever. But, as always, you've been watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Good night, YouTube.